Hello, good evening, Hari Om. Today's topic of discussion, love, relationships and Vedanta. Today we have our media partner, Fit Tak, which is the first digital media channel in the country, which belongs to India Today Group. They focus on mental and physical fitness. They're available across all the social media, Facebook, Insta, and YouTube. And coming to our guests, we have two very eminent people here, Ragheshwari and Dr. Janki Santok. Well, Ragheshwari is the guest for the evening and she needs no introduction. She's a very well-known face of the 90s. I remember her very well. And she's been an actor, singer, and a former VJ of MTV. She's also a motivational speaker for the power of wellness and mindfulness, and her own recovery from facial paralysis in 2000 at the peak of her career got her into this journey of wellness and mindfulness. And her miraculous pregnancy is the testimony for this power. And she's recently been voted as one amongst the top 50 mental health influencers. Congratulations, Ragheshwari, on that. And she's also collaborated with the very famous Jack Canfield and the very famous guru of affirmations, the late Louise Hay. And Ragheshwari released her first Indian DVD for India, the affirmations. Positive affirmations were never there. And then she's also, her work takes her across the globe, be it performing at the Nobel Peace Center or her work with the rescued children of Pakistan from the terrorism, and her work with HH Dalai Lama, and also her work in India with Melinda and Bill Gates on maternal mortality. That's a lot of work, Ragheshwari. Thank you so much for being here today. And she's very happily married and lives in London. She's got a cute little daughter, Samaya, who's 4 years old. We welcome you, Ragheshwari. And we have here with us Dr. Janki Santok, who instills a little bit of Gyan in us every week. We fondly call her Janki ji. She is a student and proponent of Vedanta for over 3 decades. She's finished her Vedantic studies living in an ashram. She's also a PhD in philosophy and English literature. She's a corporate trainer, a public speaker, a columnist, and an author. She works really hard to spread this knowledge of Vedanta and very selflessly. She's been teaching in Mumbai for over 3 decades, and now she's on online thanks to the pandemic. I shouldn't be saying this, but people like us who get access to her classes because of her online classes. She's also a columnist. She's written in the Times of India and Economic Times, and she's written she's an author of a book, How Do You Know What You Know, which is on thinking and how the thinking affects our life. So this is a very interesting amalgamation of psychology, history, logic, Vedanta, mythology. So this book is a very, very interesting book, very, very useful to us. She's going to start those classes very soon. So Janki ji, thank you so much for all that you're doing. I welcome both of you. Without taking much of the time, I leave it to you to start the discussion.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Deepa. Firstly, koti pranam to you, Janki ji. It's lovely to share this platform with you. And to everybody who's watching us, namaste, assalamu alaikum, and a big hello, a big thank you to our wonderful presenters, FitTak, our India Today family that helps us, take this show across the globe. Janki ji, it's all about love. Isn't it such a powerful emotion? We've had so many questions. I want to do justice to all the questions. So right away, the first question. According to you, what makes a perfectly complete, successful relationship?
Okay, straight into it. So if you think about it, there are two things. If we had these two things in a relationship, that relationship with whoever it would be a very successful relationship. The first thing is a sense of service towards the other person, a sense of duty, a sense of service. What can I do for you? You say, oh, how boring is that? Because I really like how you make me feel, what you do for me. No, the pleasure of a relationship is how much we can do for the other person. And you know why that is so pleasurable? Every time we want something from the other person, we become dependent, we become weak. But if we are able to do things, then the control is always in our hands. And the fact of doing service is so much pleasure. So when we have that attitude in a relationship, that how much can I do for you? What can I do for you? That is what makes the first criteria of a relationship. What can I do for you? And if I can have that attitude, I become independent of the way you behave. Because what troubles us most in a relationship is that you're not doing what I want you to do.
Yeah.
But if my focus is on what I'm doing, then I'm free of that.
I'm liberated, isn't it? It's almost liberating.
Yes, it is. It's so liberating. And then the second criteria of a good relationship is correct assessment. Correct assessment means understanding the other person for what that person is, rather than what I want that person to be. So we say don't have expectations from people, but that's not really good advice insofar as how can you not? How is that even possible? Okay, you have to. I mean, even today, if we did not expect that this event was there, how would we end up at the event, So you can't live without an expectation. But where we go wrong is not an expectation. Where we go wrong is an incorrect expectation, where we expect something which ought not to be expected. And why should you not expect that? Because that's not in the other person's nature. For instance, if my husband is always unpunctual, and I think, okay, I'm going to meet you at Starbucks at 5 o'clock. Then I go to Starbucks at 5 o'clock, all dressed up, feeling so thrilled to be there, and he's not there. And then my temperature starts boiling. And then when he comes, all hell will break loose. Much easier. If you want your husband there at 5 o'clock, tell him I'll meet you there at 4 o'clock. He will come at 5, don't worry. So when we have right expectations, that whole relationship is a joy. Just like you're laughing now. I mean, okay, this is totally under my control. I know exactly how to get whatever it is I want because I got correct expectations. Do not expect from people what they are incapable of doing. I can't bait a fish with strawberries.
Janki ji, that's so beautiful. But that also, makes us reflect on the point that people step into relationships not showing their true nature. So, like you gave a beautiful example of someone being punctual and not being punctual. In the same way, we have these societal ideals that I need, as a wife, I need to be loving, kind, someone who cooks. As a man, I need to be societal pressures, right? I need to have a home, a car. And interestingly, because I want to woo you, I'm going to show a very different persona. And obviously, it's not humanly possible to keep up with that persona. So you have met my expectations when we are dating. And now suddenly I see the real picture. How does one handle that?
By two things again. Number one, we are so enamored sometimes with the idea of getting married, with the idea of having a partner. It's too glamorous in our mind for some reason. And because of that, we are not paying attention to what the other person is saying and doing. No leopard can hide his spots. We are happy to go along with their charade because we want it.
Wow.
So we are going along with it. If we say, no, I'm going to find out, I'm going to tell you the truth, I'm going to understand the truth from you, not merely by what you say, by a million ways people express themselves. Don't have to just say, oh, he said he'll take care of me. No, watch it. What happened? When you were in the restaurant and something spilled, what did he do?
How did he handle
it?
Yeah.
In a million ways, people are expressing what they are, but we won't see it because we are carried away with all the emotion, with all the drama that we have in our head. So it's better to look before you leap. So don't jump in.
So that's beautifully said, because it reminds me of this quote by Maya Angelou, who said that, people do show you signs. We refuse to see them. How beautifully you said that somebody could spill something in the restaurant, and the way they react tells us how patient they are, how they overlook, or how they treat people who are, who are waiting on you, who are offering service. But it's interesting that love is such a heady feeling. And as you said, we're conditioned to chase romance. I think thanks to advertisements, thanks to culture. It's programmed people's minds, Jankiji, to think that if you're single, you don't really have the permission to be happy. So what would you tell, because we have a record number of people watching you today, and a whole lot of people who are single, and they say we feel devastated, we feel sharp pains, we feel deep sense of loneliness, we're always the third wheel. We are never a part of a complete picture. What would you tell someone who's single and struggling?
I would say you're single and miserable. Please look at all the married people who are married and miserable. There is no joy per se in marriage. a situation is joy or not joy based on who we are.
Yes.
Nothing to do with what is happening outside. Vivekananda didn't feel like that, right? He didn't feel lonely or upset or anything because he was single. He reveled in it. Ramakrishna didn't feel upset because he was married. He reveled in it. So based on what we are will be our experience of life. And we cannot blame anyone else. We cannot say ads and society are making me think so. Not at all. No ad, no society can. We can put out ads every day about how great it is to be detached. Nobody will buy it. Nobody will buy it. We don't buy ads. We buy the push of our own desires.
Yeah.
We want that. And therefore we identify with that and say, see, they are also saying it. Got nothing to do with anyone else. If I were single and my friends treated me for some reason badly because I am single, they made me feel the odd one out, wouldn't I learn from it that I'm with the wrong people?
Correct.
Like my friends are supposed to make me feel comfortable. They make me feel odd one out, then they're not my friends. Why am I even here? If people don't value me for who I am, then why am I hanging out with them? Hello? So that's what I learned from it. I don't learn from it, oh my God, they want me to be married, so I'll be married. That's like, why would I even think that thought? So we come back to this great idea, which is let us live a life of service. Okay? So as we live a life of service, what anyone has to say about us is absolutely irrelevant. You are in this field and others in this field, and almost anybody in this field, whoever's in this field, almost gets pushed into a position that since you are in this field, therefore you must behave in that manner.
Correct.
Hello, I don't live according to what your expectations are of how people in this field live. I live according to what according to me is right. Right? So similarly, if we live our whole life based on, oh, he thinks I should be married, or he thinks I should be rich, or he thinks I should be something.
Correct.
This is a madman's game. Because even if you are they going to be happy? Is anyone going to say, oh, she's married, how good for her?
True.
No, now they'll find something else. She married under her, she married above her, she's whatever. People who want to talk will find something to say. So what is troubling us? This is the greatest lesson of life we can learn. What is troubling us is never anything outside, but our own desires within, which are out of our own governance. Nothing and nobody else can trouble us.
Yeah. So really building on a beautiful relationship with your own self, reflecting on the kingdom within, as beautifully you put. Let us know a few simple techniques or simple thoughts that you would have. Someone who's single can work on this philosophy and build a beautiful relationship with oneself. Someone single, but perhaps a whole lot of people who, married under pressure, self-created or self-created by family. I was lucky. I married late and I married with a lot of thought, with a lot of upheavals. And after that, I'm so happy that I saw clearly and I married my soul companion. But people have to go through a whole lot of heartbreaks. They probably still are. So the beauty, as you said, start a beautiful relationship with yourself. Some insights, how can one do that?
Well, the only way to do that really is to have your intellect in governance of your mind. Intellect is our buddhi, our rationality, our reason. It is our capacity of discrimination. It is what makes a human a human.
Beautiful. You must, Janki, you must repeat that. That was beautiful and deep.
Well, a human being is a human being if his intellect governs his mind. Intellect means discrimination, reason, rationality, judgment. This is what makes a human being a human being. No other creature has this capacity. They can't judge, but we can. We can decide. We can take options. Others can't. A tiger cannot opt to be a vegan. Can't. A cow cannot opt to be a meat eater. She can't. But you and I, we're humans. We have this capacity. And with this capacity, we have this capacity of reason and judgment by which we can make that choice wisely. Then why on earth are we so stupid and make stupid choices? Because besides the buddhi, we also have the manas, the mind within us. The mind is our emotions, our likes and dislikes, our whims and fancies, our longings, our cravings, our discomfort or comfort. Now, when these kind of things start pushing our life, then know that we are headed for trouble in one way or the other. When the mind starts governing our actions, then all sorts of chaos comes. The most simple example of that is you offer a diabetic a sweet. The mind in him says, I love sweets, give me the sweet. Intellect says, no, that's not for you. So you know what will happen if he follows the mind and if he follows the intellect. But what happens is the mind is tempting us to say, have the sweet, you feel so nice. And then we go for that and feel so nice. And then after that is all chaos. So the only way to build what you call a good relationship with yourself, what does that mean? That means it's just comfortable in your own skin, right? So the only way you do that is by having your intellect govern your action, not allowing the mind to govern the action. And so when you start doing that, life just unfolds out very beautifully because it starts going in the direction that you are consciously taking it. Instead of, I'm attracted by this, I run there, I'm attracted by there, I run there. That's going where you want it to go. You know where you want it to go and you're going to take it there. It may take time, effort, whatever that is, but you're headed there. You're not, it's like blinkers on. I don't care whether you're married or not. I've decided that I'm going to get married or not. So, or anything else. I don't care whether you have a business or not, or a degree or not, or I've decided it for myself that I'm going to do this.
So
And I'm going to do what it takes. So when I do that, I'm totally comfortable with my life. What you're calling a good relationship with oneself.
With oneself.
The biggest question is how do I get my intellect to govern my mind? For that you have to study Vedanta.
Yeah.
Sorry, there's not a way in the sense that it may not be Vedanta. Study anything, Bible, Quran, whatever you want. But it has to be a systematic, everyday attempt to get your intellect to work. Every day you have slotted a time. From this time to this time, I just use it to develop my own intellect. So take any book of your choice. I'm going to do that. I'm not going to read this book, read that book, read that book.
Correct.
One book, whichever book I want. And I'm going to study it so much that it is not I who have gone through the book, but the book that has gone through me.
Wonderful.
And then my intellect strengthens.
Lovely. So, my dear friends, I hope that, opened a window in your mind and in your intellect, or the pennies drop that, start this beautiful relationship with your intellect and commit on a consistent basis. It's just like watering a seed, and then you have to water it daily. And so you do that and you start this beautiful journey with your inner self, your intellect. So what is love, according to you, Janki? What is love?
Okay, so love, according to Vedanta, is, I'm sorry to disappoint everybody who's listening, this is the last thing they're going to expect. Love is universal oneness, feeling the same towards everybody. And nobody likes this definition. They say, no, I don't like all this nonsense. I feel the same for everybody. I love my boyfriend, my girlfriend, I love my child, my children. I love my father, my mother, my sister, my brother. Forget all this universal love. What is all this? But just think about it. If we just apply ourselves to this concept, you realize that if you don't love everybody, you don't love anybody. Because if I say I love X, but I don't love Y, then there is some reason I love X and not Y. And what is the reason I love X but not Y? Isn't it because I'm getting something from X which I'm not getting from Y? It could be something physical, could be something emotional, could be something intellectual, but I'm getting it. And that's why I claim to love X. And let this X stop giving it to me. And this so-called love of mine will immediately convert itself to hatred. Hate you. That's what happens, right? People fall in love and then it's not as they want it to be, and then what? That love is all hatred. So when you were claiming love, could you not see at that time this is actually hatred? Why do you have to wait for that situation? So if we can't love everybody, if I can't love all children, I can't love mine. I can't love everybody. I can't love anybody. Because every time I claim to love somebody, a particular person, all I'm saying is, I love myself. As long as you cater to me, you're my best friend. Stop catering to me, you're my worst enemy. Brothers fight, spouses fight, parent and children fight. Why? Because you are not doing what I say. And now I hate you because of that. So love is universal oneness. To feel the same, to feel that same identification with everybody. To feel anybody's pain is your pain, anybody's joy is your joy. To enjoy the pleasures of others. To feel sad with their sorrows.
It's beautiful.
That's human being.
Yeah. You know, it reminds me of my late father. And when I met my lovely soul companion, and you know, my late father would always tell me, you know, when you meet people, don't go by how they're treating you. Observe how they're treating everybody. As simple as that, because that will be a glimpse to their personality. And it's so beautiful what you said, because, you know, Vedanta is also so scientific, because today the Harvard research reflects on everything that you're talking about. Universal love, that the happiness and the secret to being joyful and healthy is to be kind to everybody, is to be loving with everybody, that it actually leads to wellness, happiness, and great health. So Vedanta is super scientific as well. Talking about your incredible book, How You Know What You Know, it talks about logic, right? It talks about intellect. It talks about reasoning. Now that you described love in such an evolved manner, people's hearts just start to beat. I mean, that's, you know, with all my mindfulness, with all my work, we do like some people, man, woman, you just sort of get attracted to someone, you feel happy with someone's company. So how do you apply logic to that? Because some people then just throw the logic out and it is, my goodness, I really like this person, and within a month they are married, which sure sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. How does one apply logic where love is concerned?
Firstly, the book does not only talk of logic, it talks of every method of gaining knowledge and thinking that is available to us as human beings.
Wonderful.
One of those methods is, of course, logic, but we have so many methods available to us. Now, whichever method you choose to use, you have to apply it to the business of living, which includes things and people that I'm attracted to or not attracted to. So I'm attracted to this person. Okay, I am sort of thinking that this is the best person in the world.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. It's perfectly all right to think like that. We will naturally feel more loving, or I wouldn't like to use the word loving. We'll naturally feel more at ease with some people versus with some other people. So that's fine, because this is the law of nature, right? Sparrows will be with sparrows and lions will be with lions and whatever. There's a law of nature. We will be in our tribe. That's okay. But why is it so difficult for us to apply reason over there? Because just because a person, appears attractive to me, doesn't even mean that he's in my tribe. Doesn't even mean that this is the person I should be being with. As you so correctly pointed out, you could meet a person, feel like completely at ease with him, be married to him in a week, and live together happily for the rest of your life. This situation can exist, and just the opposite can exist. You were so comfortable for 1 week, you got married, and then life was just a bitter tragedy thereafter. Now, what's the use of reason? To step back and say, in this case, what is it going to be? That's the use of reason. That's the use of your thinking. Because the thing is, for us as humans, it is not a straight line. There's always this choice. When something feels good, is it really good or not? Is something I have to know. It may be good, it may not be good. I have to individually, for that particular occasion, make up my mind. That's where the intellect comes in. Because you can't make a general rule. You can't get married in a week. You should get married in a week. No such thing.
Correct.
May be correct, may not be correct. I must take a call. And whatever call I take, consequences are mine. So therefore, learn to take that call well.
Yeah.
That's where intellect comes in.
That's where intellect comes in. It's so beautifully said, because, I've had so many friends where and as Vedanta says, right, everybody is divine and we need to love everybody and everybody is on their journey. So some of my beautiful friends would, be pursued by, a partner, and they would just send them flowers, 100 roses, right? All of that. Unbelievable, expensive gifts. While I could clearly see that the behavior of the partner was inappropriate with different people, the respect wasn't consistent, but the display of love, the superficial display of love was in place. And that completely, was a smoke screen for my friend's mind. And she said, no, this person really loves me. You choose to not see it, Raga. And so I know how beautifully you say that we must develop our intellect, because the signs are all there. And that's when you'll easily choose the right person. Thank you. Thank you for that. So let's talk about a person in love, right? Everything's fine. They're in a marriage. Why do people get really angry with the person they love a lot as well?
Yes, isn't that a very common phenomenon? Yeah. The people we get angry with most are the people we claim to love the most. Yeah. So what's going on? Because that love is not really love, it's attachment. It is saying that please cater to me. You're not catering to me, so now I'm getting angry with you. I will do anything, in fact. I will get so angry. I don't know, you remember Fatal Attraction?
Yes.
I love you very much. Now you please behave the way I deem fit. Otherwise, I'll destroy you, I'll destroy your family, I'll destroy it. Boys throw acid on the face of a girl. What degree of cruelty is this? You wreck a person's life, really. So, these are boys who claim I love her. So, this is not love. That's what Vedanta is trying to sell us. It's not love at all. It is only a demand from a certain person that please give me whatever it is I want. And if you don't do that, I'm going to get firstly very angry. Then I'm going to start harming you. Then I'm going to start destroying you. I'll even go up to killing you. That's the great story of Othello. Shakespeare. He loved Desdemona. Desdemona loved him. He thought she was unfaithful. Wrongly so. And then he says, put out the light, and then put out that light. Goes and kills her, strangles her.
Yeah.
I love you so much. Therefore, I'm going to kill you. Sounds like very good reasoning. When the mind is taken over, anything sounds crazy. Everything sounds reasonable. Anything sounds reasonable when the mind is working. So why do we get angry with people we love? Because our love is entirely based on selfishness. It's based in a demand that you must do this for me. And when you don't do this for me, I will start getting angry. It will build up. I can go right up to killing that person. And that's why you find horrendous crimes by people who so-called claim to love each other. Now, many of us feel that, no, this is too much. We don't do that. We only get angry. If you're only getting angry, we should get down on our knees and thank God and thank the person we have a relationship with, because that person has not interrupted our desires so much. But should that person do it, God alone knows where we will be. That's why the holy Bradford, when he saw prisoners being taken to the gallows, said, "There, but for the grace of God, go I." Would have been me. Except that I fall in that situation. So that's why we get angry. Too much selfishness.
Also, Janki, bringing this answer and connecting it with universal love, I also feel that, we are so conditioned by what we see as children as well, as science has proven today. Of course, Panchatantra has talked about, the early child development. So in a very interesting way, when I got married, my mother would, tell me what you would say. And when I was a teenager, an MTV teenager, I would say, what is my mama saying? Serve your partner, serve your partner. So, my father was my mother's Parmeshwar. And she had a beautiful philosophy. The more I do for him, the more he does for me. Beautiful. And it worked. So I grew up seeing a very successful relationship of service. Now, my brother and me were conditioned at a very young age seeing that. And interestingly, he also married someone who is, serves and she serves him. And in the same way, my husband is into human rights, so he works long hours. I left my country, came to London, but we have such a beautiful understanding because the service part was very beautifully ingrained. My mama is a follower of Vedanta. So, Janki, don't you think that it's very important for children to be students with you? Because at a young age, for them to see definitions of relationships at home create a very strong impact. So, do you agree with that? And how can students then come for classes and then get into that beautiful habit of working on the intellect? And building a habit like this to be of service to others is a very difficult habit, Janki ji. I have learned this with a lot of ups and downs. How do we, walk on that path?
Well, we don't deal directly with children because Vedanta is meant for intellect. And, intellectual growth starts really coming to the surface when you're about 15, 16. So that's the age you can take up to proper study of Vedanta. But to get good children growing up well, you have to do what your parents did. They lived that life. That's it. That's what the Gita says. Yad yada charati shreshtaha. Tat devetaro janaha. Whatever the Shreshta Purusha does, whatever the superior does, so shall the others do. So how do you teach a child? Live that life. Walk that path. Walk that path. The child will learn. They may rebel initially, just like you said, oh, what is all this fun stuff? But eventually they'll be fighting with themselves in living that life because they'll see its worth, they see the value. And once you get a taste of being unselfish, you realize that the real joy of life is there. There is no joy in this selfish life. There's a real joy in being of service. In fact, Vedanta warns us against the temptation of service. This goes in stages. Firstly, we are very selfish. Then we are very agitated, very angry, very thing. Then we get a taste of service. That is so beautiful. Suddenly the mind is calm. Suddenly we get along with everybody. Suddenly everything we touch turns gold. This is dangerous because we have to move from being unselfish to selfless. But we're so happy, so comfortable. The Upanishad warns us against it. Don't stay there. There's a long journey ahead. So we have to reach enlightenment, right? Otherwise, just sit down and revel in being unselfish. So it grows in stages. That's why you need systematic education. Slowly, slowly, each one of us has to build ourselves up. As the English author has once said, make yourself an honest man, and you can be sure there's one less scoundrel in this world.
I believe there is an issue in audio quality. I'm going to try it without the headphone. Can you all hear me better? Bhin, Omkar, is this better?
I don't think so.
It's the same. Can you hear me? Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, to me it wasn't, but I believe that it's better for them.
Okay,
Yeah.
as long as it's fine for them, so then I'll stick with this. Okay, better. Great, thank you. So we'll continue with that. That was beautiful, Janki. So so where children are concerned, I want to recap everything. That yes, parents need to walk the path. Science proves that today. Walk the path if you want your children to have a beautiful relationship, and that's why marrying the right person, building your intellect, so important. So you marry someone where you're harmoniously connected to on a soul spiritual level. Why do people take us for granted? As you beautifully said, do you think it's connected to in the same way that's why we also fight with the people we love the most? Why do people take us for granted?
Why people take us for granted is because we don't use our head. Service is so pleasurable that sometimes we do it when we shouldn't be doing it. When people are treating you badly, you can't be saying, oh, I'm going to serve you. No, you are not going to serve such a person. If somebody is abusing you or beating you, you back off. You don't say, no, I have to do service. Come, bell, mujhe maar. I am one idiot that has to be hit by you. Not at all. Be strong in yourself. You're a service-oriented person. You know how to say no when you have to. You're not doing service out of weakness. Service is strength, not weakness.
Wow.
I'm doing it out of my own free will, and I will stop it if I choose to, if and when I choose to. It's not your demands that are making me serve. I am making the choice. I will serve. So if my intellect doesn't work, I will not do the right service at the right time, and then I'll get into trouble. Such as, a common example is mothers complain, oh, my son, he doesn't clean his room, he throws everything everywhere. Okay, so are you happy to pick it up? No, of course not. I'm not happy to pick it up. He should be picking it up. And why are you picking it up? You don't have to look after my son. Is that really looking after your son, doing his jobs? Let it lie. So when you don't have the control over yourself,
Yeah.
you can't have control over anyone else.
Yeah, we
So
see.
people take us for granted means that I am not relating to them properly and doing more than I should be doing. So that's where I say, no, this is wrong. This is not how it works. It's not that we are demanding that people do something for us, but it cannot be that I'm doing something for you and you're abusing me. Then I have to take care of that, right? So when our intellect works, we know how much to do and how much not to do. As the Gita says, when you do danam also, it should be deshe kale patre. You see the time, you see the place, and you see the person. Don't do randomly anything and then you get into trouble, the other person gets into trouble. No. Use your head. Is it appropriate? If it is appropriate, it's not that we want thanks from anyone. It's not that we want anybody to appreciate what we have done. But is that dhanam appropriate? Is that right? Is it going to actually benefit the person? When my mother picks up the children's things lying around, is it going to benefit the children? Or is it only creating a devil out of them? And if they have become devils, how will she serve them? It's made life difficult for them, right?
Yeah.
A good parent has taught the child some important life skills. And one of them is the capacity to take a no. If the child doesn't know how to take a no, they'll go through life screaming every time something goes wrong.
Yeah.
No, you can't have this. That's it. You just can't have it. Finished. No discussion any further.
And it's also this pull of emotions, that people are brought up with in relationships. And if I do this, I sort of view my partner, keep him in this web, then I don't even know when the partner is now taking me for granted. So as beautifully as you said, where children are concerned. I'm sure it's the same when partners are concerned. But we sort of allow it, or properly feel it, feel it.
Of course.
Beautifully, as you said, in a balanced way. We try to see this. This is really actually harming the relationship in the long run.
Harming children, harming parents, harming partners. If we don't use our head, how is anything supposed to work? We're just going blindly. Acha, jo manna hai karo. If you go blindly like this, what do you think is going to happen to life? To carefully consider what we choose to do, how much we choose to do, when we choose to do. Do the other thing also. The other thing our children take us for granted is "Mummy bolti hai." If someone says that to you, you have to immediately know I've spoken too much.
Ah,
I'm
okay.
screaming at my child and the child is not listening. More screaming is not going to help. I have to back off because the power of anyone's words is directly proportional to the silence that preceded it.
Ah, wonderful.
So,
And
it will have no power because there was no silence before it.
and
So,
it's so important in a relationship, especially, of course, with your partner and your children, because especially parents, right? We are so conditioned to give so many orders to children.
mhm,
Think we own
yes.
they're ours. They must behave the way we want them to. And it's a daily practice. Tell ourselves, no, they're individual beings. And the silence, like you said, beautiful, Jankiji. So, and we've got very interesting questions coming. A lot of people want to know about extramarital affairs. A lot of people. And I view them very differently. I would love to know your views. One person, of course, wants to know I'm in a happy married life. The married life is fine, but I end up loving, according to the person, right? Love another person. And there's another person who says, in a marriage, I cannot break it off because of family commitments and responsibilities, but I'm in love with someone else. So a lot of people, interesting, isn't it? I'm in marriage and have extramarital affairs.
Well, in terms of extramarital affairs, there is no one size fits all because everybody has very different appetites. Okay, there are some people who have an extremely low appetite for physical
Intimacy.
consummation, intimacy. So very low. So they are not even in the discussion. There are some people, second grade of people, who would have some interest if there was an environment like that, it sparked or something. Then there was some type of people who don't even need the environment, will come from within because the interest level is higher. And there are the fourth category of people who have so much interest that it seems too much to the rest of the world because they are more than the others. Now, every individual will have his particular thing. They could be passive in the sense that not much interest, or the interest only comes about when it's sparked by an environment, or it could be active in the sense that it is there, it comes without environmental help, or it is a lot by people's standards, by the general average standards, let's say. Now, each one of us is unique. Each one of us has our own appetites. Now, we have to decide for ourselves what we want to do about it. If you're in category number 4, you should not be married in the first place because it will not work. If you're in category number 1, again, you should not be married because it probably won't work for two completely different reasons. So each one has to see what their conditions are, internal, external, and come to a conclusion as to what they want to do about it. So if you're in a happy marriage and you still have some interest outside, you have to know the consequences of your actions.
Consequences.
If your wife is going to be okay with it, then that's fine. You can go ahead.
Or
If
the
your wife
husband.
is not,
Or the
or
husband.
husband, whatever, or the husband is okay with it, you go ahead. if your wife or husband is not going to be okay with it, and there's going to be a free for all, then you decide what you want to do. There's no prescription in Vedanta, but there is definitely an appeal to please use your head and do whatever you're doing. Don't just go blindly into something. I feel like I'm setting off. No, think it through. Think of consequences. Think of options. There are many options also in life. We don't have to always think in terms of there's only A and B. No, a million options and many things you could do, many ways you could deal with it. What way would you like? There's no prescription about these things. Do use your intellect and function in this world like a mature adult. And this is not true just for this is true for everything. It's a standard formula for all things.
Would you agree with, we're doing an event on this with FitTech on Mindful Mondays as well, because we've got a lot of queries about extramarital affairs. So our research tells us, and I have a whole lot of clients who have come to me, and interestingly, the research showed that the relationships, the extramarital affairs, were not sex related at all. In a very interesting way, the partner was seeking validation.
Was seeking what? Sorry?
Validation. But I feel good. I don't care about being physically intimate with this partner, but I feel good. In a marriage, I'm always the person who's paying the bill, I'm the husband who's working, I'm the wife who's constantly cooking. But getting into that extramarital affair sort of made the person feel liberated, felt validated, felt valued. And we were thinking, oh my goodness, interestingly, so many people told us, we don't care about the sex. It's about being with that person. So how would you help people who are going through this anxiety, being in this dilemma?
Well, if you really go to the base of the problem, there is only one problem. When I function on my mind, when I take my enjoyments without thinking, I function on my mind, I start getting neutralized to those enjoyments. For instance, I eat a mango. I feel very nice. I eat a second mango. Okay, I feel nice. I eat a third one. It's okay. Fourth, fifth becomes repulsive. So there's a law of diminishing returns. If we keep contacting something over and over and again, or more correctly, indiscriminately, the joy content of that thing goes away. That is why you can find a woman who has like 3 cupboards full of clothes and 3 cupboards full of shoes, can open these doors and turn to her husband and say, honey, I've got nothing to wear. She genuinely feels so. So what is she supposed to do? Normally people say, oh, go and buy some more. But what she should do is take out those clothes, pack them up, put them on a mala. If she's Indian, she will have a mala in her house. Put it away. Bring it down after 6 months and you will enjoy it all over again. So when people say, I'm having this anything, X, Y, and Z, whatever it is I'm having, to feel validated. I'm eating home food, it's boring, I want to go out to eat. When you think like that, then that's the day for you to fast, not to go out. There's nothing wrong with eating out. But to think that I will get my pleasures back by taking a step forward is not the way to live life. If your pleasure is gone, take a step backwards. The pleasure will come right back. This is not the way to handle it.
Beautiful. So I would love to, you've spoken in such an evolved language. So to all our, it's interesting for you to remember that the relationship that you have with yourself will define the relationship that you have with everybody else. So what Janki ji is beautifully saying is the divinity that you're seeking everywhere actually exists within you. And the more you build on your intellect, on this relationship with yourself through Vedanta or through any scriptures that attract you, That's when you actually stop seeking it elsewhere and start fulfilling it within. Dear Deepa, thank you. You're
Yeah.
back with
Yeah.
us. We'd
So
love to
since
have
the
your answers.
since it's the last 10 minutes, we have a few questions the audience wants to know. Ragheshwari, please, can you take those questions?
We have been. So,
Yeah.
another question is, so what about marriage? When should I think this is the right time for me to be married is being asked by some people.
Yeah, it's a very good thing that we are asking that question. That itself is a good question. So it's not about when. First decision is always, should I get married? That's your first question. You need not assume that you have to get married. A person should get married if he has a few characteristics, which I will just mention. Then that person is a marrying type. If you're not a marrying type, please don't do it. So what are those marrying types? Number one, they need companionship. Number two, they need security. Number three, they have a sort of a sexual interest in not category one or category four, which we just spoke about. Okay, uh, they have a sense of possession. They have that instinct of possession. They are they feel safer with another person. If we have these kind of characteristics, then marriage is for us. Otherwise, it's not. So first, analyze yourself. There's a video on, since we are very short on time, there's a video on the YouTube channel that talks about what are the reasons to get married. If those reasons are there in our life, in my personality, then I should get married. And I should get married as soon as I am in every way fit, in the sense I should be ready for it. When I'm ready for it, I should get married. Then I have to wait till you're 75 to get married. Please get married at whatever according to you is an appropriate time. But first question is, have I the right personality for marriage? If I have, if my answer to that is yes, then I go to the next step.
Mm. And then the right partner, and then of course work on yourself. And I have, I always think that become the partner that we seek. So it was a very interesting thing for me when I started to work on that. I said, what is it that I'm seeking in my partner? And then I went in front of the mirror and I said, do I have these qualities? I better work on that first. And so I started to work on that. But anyways, it's all about Janki ji. Deepa, we have done justice to the most important questions. Please enlighten, elucidate everybody, our followers and the people who very kindly joined us, about Janki ji's classes, her wonderful books, and how we can be students with Janki ji.
Yeah, I think Omkar can present the PPT. But before that, let me tell you about Jankiji's classes. We crave and wait for the classes. It's like our heart skips a beat to attend her class. It's the most exciting thing happening in our lives. It's so interactive, it's so stimulating intellectually, and not to talk about how enlightening it is. Just a couple of concepts that she tells, we're like, ooh, this is something. So we request each and every one of you to come for the classes now that it's available online. There are people who access these classes from all over the world. We have students from Canada and US and all that, and I think different parts of India. See, we have Bhajagovindam on Thursdays, which is Adi Shankaras. We have Bhagavad Gita on Fridays and Sundays. And we have Vedanta treatise by Swami Parthasarathi, which is on Saturdays. So you don't have to take all the four classes. You can pick and choose one of the classes or two of the classes. And then Janki ji will also guide you as to which one you have to start with. And the sessions are very interactive. You have your questions, they can be answered. It's just a 1 hour class, and I'm sure each and every one of us can make time for this. And we are starting, Janki ji is starting fresh, the new classes on the book, How Do You Know What You Know? So the other classes are finishing. So this is the time to start the new book that she'll be starting the classes on. I think in a week or a couple of weeks' time. And we have our presence on social media, Vedanta Institute Mumbai, and How Do You Know What You Know. You look up these pages, all the classes are given, all the info is given. So, yeah, that's about the classes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Deepa.
And Janki,
I'd
Yeah,
really
sorry.
like us to also know that, this is not religious. It's a spiritual process. It's all about human development. And that's what the Vedas were for. It's for humanity. So that's a very important message I'd like friends to take, because we have followers, from various faiths who follow us on FitPath. So the classes are unique. It's all about human development. It's about the journey that you're going to have within yourself. So I'd like to give my vote of thanks to our beloved Dr. Janki ji. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your genius with us. A big thanks to the entire team, Janki ji's team, including Deepa. A big thanks to India Today, and of course, India's biggest wellness channel, which is FitTak. A big thanks to Tanisha Sangha, who heads FitTak. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Stay in touch with us. Stay in touch with.
Thank you, Ragheshwari, for making time despite your very, very busy schedule.
This is amazing. If people can have a fantastic Valentine's Day in spite of being single, then that's a job well done.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Janki ji. Thank you, Ragheshwari. Thank you, FitTak.